Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that we're going to talk about today and this weekend, we've got to catch up on so many things that drop on Friday. First of all, we got to talk about the fallout that's happening from the whole magazine ban that Judge Benitez gave yesterday, which ironically and hilariously stepped right on top of the gun violence prevention ceremony, throwing a wet blanket on their celebration of the infringements. But we'll get to that in another video this weekend. But everything will be linked in the description box below, and of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. So, my brothers and sisters, as you know, yesterday we had some breaking news that the magazine bans from California, a staple of Californian gun control, ruled unconstitutional by Judge Benitez. Now, I'm about to show you some of the things and some of the fallout so far from the seething Gavin Newsom, the paragon of hair gel, himself, because this fight is no longer over. Is not over, but it is beginning and it's starting well. So, federal judge overturns California ban on high-capacity gun magazines. We talked about that yesterday. Here's a brief summation of how CNN is covering this, and then I'm going to bring in the Newsom, the Gavster. U.S. District Judge Robert T. Benitez, in Friday's decision, said the ban on high-capacity magazines fails to meet that standard and that there is no national tradition of prohibiting or regulating firearms based on firing capacity or ammunition capacity. Yep. The Bruin decision is unraveling their hopes and dreams. Gavin Newsom, who has built an entire career on this, is seeing his career a circle down the toilet. That's the entire point. You're seeing a reaction of gun control politicians who are used to going to the gun control well, not being able to do it anymore, and they're taking L's on it because it makes them look like idiots with egg on their face to their constituents who believed them as it was constitutional. As it becomes unconstitutional, they look worse and worse and worse. In fact, let's continue here. Benitez wrote that one government solution to a few madmen with guns makes into criminals responsible, law-abiding people wanting larger magazines simply to protect themselves. Now, before I even get into Gavin, keep in mind, extended magazines in the Californian approach is anything beyond 10. Well, anything beyond 10 would also be pistols. So you're talking about this insane amount of destructive capacity, not just for weapons of war and assault weapons, but you're talking about pistols. That's how silly this is. This is everything, all-encompassing. This is not just LCMs, as the gun control group calls extended magazines for ARs. This is even pistols. Let's continue, because that's where it gets real silly. California Governor Gavin Newsom, in a statement, called the decision, quote, politics, pure and simple, noting Benitez's record for rolling back gun control legislation. California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed a notice of appeal vowing to fight for our authority to keep Californians safe from weapon enhancements designed to cause mass casualties. It's not a weapon enhancement, it's literally part of it. I mean, the mental gymnastics that you have to do to say that a magazine with 12 rounds in it is an enhancement to make it more deadly and a tool of mass casualty events, and 10 isn't, is kind of silly. They're dancing around the edges of anything that they can control while avoiding the entire problem, which is the problem of our hearts and our minds in this country, and it completely authorizing evil to run amok because there's no such bad thing, and it's not their fault. No, sometimes it just is. Anyway, let's continue. That's a different topic for a different time. Here's the tweet from the Gavster. Breaking. California's high-capacity magazine ban was just struck down by Judge Benitez, an extremist right-wing zealot with no regard to human life. Wake up, America. This is so serious. He's a zealot. It's not the gun control zealots. No. It's the gun rights activists who are literally following the Constitution. He even cites the Constitution and the Bruin decision. But no. They're right-wing zealots who have no value for life. This is the exact same man that has full-throat embracing of abortion. Again, I bring that up all the time because it's just a simple observation. On one hand, it's a woman's right to choose, and you're politicizing a choice between a doctor and a woman and all these things, and you shouldn't do that. And on the other, you can't have a large-capacity magazine because it's a weapon of mass destruction. You can't have this both ways. You can't say on one side, well, you don't value human life because you like 12-round capacity magazines, and on the other side, you can have abortion whenever you want because it's perfectly fine. I'm not putting a position on that. All I'm saying is there's kind of a juxtaposition that kind of conflicts. Because the left, their policies cannot stand together in a pyramid. They can only stand on columns where they are focus tested. That's the key point. That's why all their policies will eventually fail. They cannot stand together because they undermine each other. Anyway, let's continue, because this is where he takes the opportunity to market to the people of America. Our gun safety laws will continue to be thrown out by NRA-owned federal judges until we pass a constitutional amendment to protect our kids and end the gun violence epidemic in America. He used it as a marketing ploy for his 28th Amendment, which is floundering and is going nowhere. Even his own California delegations in the legislation were like, the legislature were like, yeah, we're not passing this unless we have a guarantee that if they bring up something else like abortion, then we're going to have to rescind it. The entire thing is a game, and he knows it. He's getting smoked. Anyway, let's continue. I got two more things for you. I'm going to show you what Giffords.org said, and then I'm going to read you actually Benitez's words, and you tell me who's extreme here. Billy Clark, litigation attorney for Giffords Law Center, told CNN he was confident the decision will be overturned and called large capacity magazines regulations common sense and constitutional. They're not constitutional. They're not common sense either. You can say common sense all you want. It doesn't matter. It's not constitutional or common sense because, again, going back to my example, if you're telling me that a 12-round magazine versus a 10-round magazine is the ultimate difference between horrible tragedies, then you got something else wrong. It's not the magazines. Like, legitimately. It's 2 rounds. It's very silly, particularly when you can reload the entire time. Anyway. Now, let me show you what Benitez said, and this is what made him the most extreme NRA-owned judge who doesn't value human life, according to Gavin Newsom. Here's what he said. The adoption of the Second Amendment was a freedom calculus decided long ago by our first citizens who cherished individual freedom with its risks more than the subservient security of a British ruler or the smothering safety of domestic lawmakers. The freedom they fought for was worth fighting for then, and that freedom is entitled to be preserved still. You can't make a better sentence than that. In fact, that should actually be enshrined in a lot of places. That's so perfect. The individual risks were an acceptable risk for freedom. It was better than having a British sovereign provide safety over all rights. That's a very big paraphrase, but that's an excellent point. And that is what Gavin Newsom is saying is an extreme right-wing zealot judge who has no value for human life. Right there. That's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.